I used to wake up every morning to the sound of tiny feet running down my hallway. That was before the house went quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that presses on your chest and reminds you that something precious is missing. My name is Margaret Wilson, but my grandkids call me Grandma Maggie. Or they used to. The day I got sick, I didn't know I was also going to lose my family. I remember the morning clearly. I was standing in my kitchen holding a coffee mug that said "World's Best Grandma." My hand started shaking. The mug slipped. Coffee spilled everywhere. I laughed and said out loud, "Well, that's new." I didn't know then that this small moment would change everything. A few weeks later, the doctor looked at me with sad eyes and said, "Margaret, this is serious." I nodded like I understood, but my mind was already somewhere else. I was thinking about Emily, my oldest granddaughter, and how she hated broccoli. I was thinking about Jack, who liked to sit on my lap and ask 1,000 questions. I was thinking, how do I tell them Grandma is sick? I didn't know the real question should have been, who will turn their back on me first? My son David came to visit that night. He stood in the doorway instead of sitting down. That was the first sign. "So, Mom," he said, rubbing his hands together, "the kids don't really need to know all the details." I smiled. "Of course they do. We don't keep secrets in this family." He didn't smile back. "That's just it," he said. "Things are different now." Different, that word followed me like a shadow. At first, the visits slowed. Then the phone calls. Then one day, I realized I hadn't heard my grandkids' voices in weeks. I called David. "Hey, Mom," he said, sounding rushed. "I was wondering when I could see the kids," I said. "Emily promised she'd show me her school project." There was a pause, long enough to scare me. "Now's not a good time," he said. "Is it ever a good time?" I asked, trying to joke. He sighed. "Mom, you're sick." "I know," I said softly. "I'm still me." "That's not the point," he snapped. "We need to think about what's best for the kids." That's when it hit me. I wasn't sick in their eyes. I was a problem. I hung up the phone and sat on my couch for a long time. The clock ticked. The fridge hummed. My house felt like it was holding its breath. I thought about all the times I had helped them, babysitting for free, paying for school supplies, helping with rent when money was tight. I never kept score. But someone else was. A week later, I tried calling my daughter Linda. She answered, but her voice was cold. "Mom," she said, "we talked about this." "No," I said. "You talked, I listened." "That's not fair," she said. "Neither is cutting me off from my grandchildren," I said, my voice shaking. She was quiet. Then she said something I will never forget. "They don't need to see you like this." "Like what?" "Alive, sick, human." "I'm still their grandma," I said. "Not right now," she replied. That night I cried so hard I thought my heart would break. I pressed my face into my pillow so the neighbors wouldn't hear. I felt small, useless, forgotten. But sadness has a funny way of turning into something else when it sits too long. Anger. One afternoon, I went through my paperwork, old files, bank statements, legal documents, things I hadn't looked at in years. And that's when I remembered something important. Everything I had done to help my children wasn't just kindness. It was connected to me. Very connected. I had co-signed loans. I had accounts set up for emergencies. I had access because they trusted me. Or maybe because they thought I was too weak to ever use it. I laughed out loud, a short, sharp laugh that surprised even me. "Oh, Maggie," I said to myself, "they really don't know you." I didn't do anything right away. I'm a grandma, not a villain. I still hoped they'd come around. I still checked my phone every morning, hopping for a message. Nothing. Weeks passed. My birthday came and went without a call. That was the day I made a decision. I called the bank. The young man on the phone sounded cheerful. "How can I help you today, ma'am?" "I'd like to temporarily freeze access on certain linked accounts," I said calmly. There was a pause. "Yes, ma'am, for security reasons." "For boundaries," I replied. He didn't understand, but he didn't need to. When I hung up, my hands were shaking, not from fear, from power. The phone rang less than an hour later. "Mom," David shouted, "what did you do?" I held the phone away from my ear. "Hello to you too." "My card isn't working," he said. "Neither is Linda's. What's going on?" I took a deep breath. I thought we needed to think about what's best for everyone. "You can't do this," he said. "I already did," I replied. There was silence. Then quietly, "Are you punishing us?" I laughed. "No, David, I'm teaching." "What kind of lesson is this?" he demanded. "The kind you remember," I said. The next day, Linda showed up at my door. She looked angry, scared, and tired all at once. "You embarrassed us," she said. "You erased me," I replied. She opened her mouth, then closed it. For the first time, she looked at me like I wasn't just sick. She looked at me like I was still their mother. Still standing. But here's the part no one tells you. Standing up for yourself doesn't make the pain go away. That night, I sat alone again. I stared at the empty couch where Jack used to jump and spill popcorn everywhere. I imagined Emily rolling her eyes at my old stories. I wondered what they were being told about me. I wondered if they missed me. I wondered how long I could stay strong before loneliness won. The story didn't end there. It couldn't. Because the next morning, I found something in my mailbox that made my hands start shaking all over again. And this time, it wasn't fear. It was something much worse. The envelope was thin, white, and official-looking. My name was printed in stiff black letters, the kind that never brings good news. Margaret Wilson. I stood in my doorway holding it like it might bite me. My heart started racing, and I had to sit down right there on the floor. I hadn't even opened it yet, but my body already knew. I whispered, "Please don't be what I think you are." It was from a lawyer. Not mine. The words blurred as I read them, but the message was clear enough to punch me in the chest. David and Linda were demanding I restore financial access immediately and warning me not to interfere with their family life. Interfere. Like I was a stranger, like I hadn't carried them inside my body, like I hadn't rocked them to sleep, wiped their tears, paid their bills. I laughed again, but this time it came out broken. "So now I'm the problem," I said to the empty room. I folded the letter carefully and set it on the table. My hands were steady. That surprised me. Something inside me had changed, and I could feel it settling in, heavy and solid like a stone in my chest. I made myself a sandwich I didn't want and ate it anyway. Grandma habits die hard. Around noon, my phone buzzed. A text. From Emily. My heart jumped so hard, I thought it might crack my ribs. "Hi, Grandma." Just that, 2 words, no emoji, no nickname, but it was her. I stared at the screen, afraid to breathe. My fingers hovered, then typed back. "Hi, sweetheart. I've missed you so much." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Mom says you're sick and mad at everyone." I closed my eyes. I typed slowly. "I am sick, but I'm not mad at you. I love you more than anything." Another pause. "Why can't we see you?" There it was, the question no one wanted to answer. I swallowed. "That's something your parents decided, not me." My phone rang before I could even lock the screen. "David." I answered. "Why are you texting my daughter?" he snapped. "Why is your daughter texting me?" I asked back. "Ask yourself that." "She's confused," he said. "You're putting ideas in her head." "No," I said calmly. "I'm telling her the truth." "You're manipulating her," he said. I laughed, loud and sharp, coming from the man who won't let his kids see their sick grandmother. "That's different," he said. "Everything is different when you don't like how it sounds," I replied. He lowered his voice. "You need to undo this. All of it, the bank, the drama, or we're done." "Done?" I leaned back in my chair. "You already decided we were done, David. I just finally noticed." He hung up on me. That night, I dreamed of my grandchildren standing on the other side of a glass wall. They were pounding on it, calling my name, but I couldn't hear them. I woke up crying, my pillow soaked, my chest aching. In the morning, my neighbor Carol knocked on my door. She held a casserole dish and wore that careful face people use when they don't know what to say. "I saw Linda's car here yesterday," she said. I snorted. So did I. Carol sat with me at the kitchen table. She listened while I told her everything. The sickness, the silence, the accounts, the lawyer letter. She shook her head slowly. "Honey, they underestimated you." "I underestimated them," I said. A few days later, another letter came. This one colder, sharper, full of words like custody, mental state, and concern. They were painting me as unstable, as dangerous. I felt something inside me crack. Not break. Crack open. I called my own lawyer, Susan Miller, a woman with a voice like steel wrapped in kindness. She listened without interrupting. Then she said, "Margaret, you've done nothing illegal." "But they're trying to erase me," I said. "They can try," she replied, "but you still have rights." "Even as a sick grandmother?" I asked. "Especially as one," she said. That night, Linda called. She sounded tired. "Mom, this is getting ugly." "You started ugly," I said. "I just stopped being quiet." "You're hurting the kids," she said. "No," I replied. "You are." She started crying. Real crying, not the fake kind. "I don't know how to explain this to them," she said. "Try honesty," I said softly. There was a long silence. Then she whispered, "Emily cries at night." My chest tightened. "Then bring her to me." "I can't," Linda said. "David won't allow it." "And you?" I asked. "What do you want?" She didn't answer. Days passed. The house felt heavier. My illness flared. Some mornings I could barely get out of bed. But even then, I checked my phone first. Waiting. One afternoon, Jack FaceTimed me by accident. Or maybe not an accident. His face filled the screen. "Grandma." I started crying instantly. "Hi, buddy." "You look tired," he said. "I am," I admitted, "but seeing you helps." Linda's voice shouted from somewhere off-screen. "Jack, hang up." "No," he yelled. "I want Grandma." The screen went dark. I stared at my reflection in the black glass. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't just about money. This was about control. And they were losing it. A week later, Susan called me with a tone I hadn't heard before. "Margaret," she said, "did you know your grandchildren have trust accounts?" "Yes," I said. "I helped set them up." "Did you know you're listed as a guardian of those funds?" she asked. My heart skipped. I forgot. "Well," she said carefully, "so did your children." I felt dizzy. "What does that mean?" "It means," she said, "you have more influence than they think." I hung up and sat very still. Outside, kids were laughing. A dog barked. Life went on like nothing was wrong. Inside me, something was waking up. Not anger. Not revenge. Something sharper. Something smarter. I picked up my phone and opened a message draft. Not to David. Not to Linda. To Emily. I didn't send it yet. I just stared at the words, knowing that once I did, nothing would ever be the same again. And that's where this part of my story has to pause. Because the next thing I did changed everything. My thumb hovered over the screen for a long time. I could hear Susan's voice in my head, calm and careful. "Think before you act, Margaret." I could also hear Jack's small voice yelling, "I want Grandma." And that one hurt more. I finally typed, "I love you. No matter what anyone says, that will never change." I pressed send. Almost right away, 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then my phone rang. It was Emily. It was Linda. "What did you tell her?" she asked, her voice tight. "I told her the truth," I said, "that I love her." "You're pulling her into this," Linda said. You pulled her in the moment you shut the door on me, I replied. Linda exhaled hard. Mom, David is furious. I know, I said. He's been furious since I stopped being useful. That's not fair, she snapped. Neither is keeping children away from someone who loves them, I said. There was a pause, then her voice dropped. He's talking about going to court. I smiled sadly. So am I. That shut her up. After we hung up, I went back to my paperwork. I spread everything across the table like puzzle pieces. Trust documents, old emails, notes I'd written to myself years ago. Back then, I was just trying to help. I never thought I'd need protection from my own children. I felt tired, bone-deep tired. My illness didn't care about family drama. It flared whenever it wanted, like a cruel reminder that my body was not on my side. I lay down on the couch and closed my eyes. That's when the doorbell rang. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to. It was David. He looked older than I remembered, thinner. His jaw was tight, his eyes sharp. We need to talk, he said. I agree, I replied, stepping aside. He didn't sit, he paced. You've crossed a line, he said. I was born on this line, I answered. You just forgot. He stopped packing and stared at me. You're sick, Mom. You're not thinking clearly. I laughed softly. Funny how I was thinking just fine when I was paying your bills. His face flushed. This isn't about money. Then why do you keep calling the bank? I asked. Silence. I walked to the window and looked outside. Do you remember when Emily was born? I asked. You were terrified. You held her like she might break. He swallowed. Don't do this. Do what? I asked. Remember. You're using the kids to get back at us, he said. No, I said quietly. I'm protecting myself and them. He shook his head. You're making it worse. I didn't start this, I said, but I'm done pretending. He stepped closer. If you don't fix this, you will lose them, for good. I turned to him. I already lost them. You made sure of that. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. Emily knows you froze the accounts. My heart thudded. What did you tell her? That you're angry, that you're trying to control us, he said. And did you tell her why? I asked. No, he said quickly. Then you lied, I said, again. He clenched his fists. You don't get to decide how we raise our kids. And you don't get to erase me from their lives, I replied. He left without another word. That night, my phone buzzed again. A video message. From Emily. I pressed play. Her face filled the screen. Her eyes were red. Grandma, she said softly, did I do something wrong? My heart shattered. No, baby, I whispered to the screen. Never. Mom and Dad won't let me come see you, she said. They say you need rest. I almost laughed at the lie. Almost. I do need rest, I said gently, but I also need you. She smiled a little. I miss you. I miss you too, I said. The video ended. I sat there shaking, not from weakness. From rage. The next morning, Susan called me early. They filed, she said. Of course they did, I replied. They're claiming you're unfit to have contact, she continued. I closed my eyes, because I'm sick. Yes, she said. I opened them. Then they've underestimated me again. I stood up and walked to the mirror. I looked at my pale face, my tired eyes, my gray hair pulled back in a messy bun. I am still here, I said out loud. That afternoon, something unexpected happened. Carol called me, her voice buzzing with excitement. Margaret, you're not going to believe this. What? I asked. I ran into Emily's teacher at the grocery store, she said. She said Emily's been asking about you. A lot. My chest tightened. What else? She said Emily wrote an essay about her hero, Carol said. I held my breath. And guess who it was? I sat down slowly. Her grandma, Carol said. Tears streamed down my face. That essay would matter. Susan said so. Teachers, counselors, people who see kids every day, they notice things parents don't want seen. That night, I opened a new folder on my computer. I named it Truth. I started saving everything. Messages, voicemails, letters. Because I was done being quiet. And just when I thought things couldn't get more intense, I received a message that made my hands go cold. It wasn't from my children. It was from someone inside their house. Someone small. Someone brave. And what it said made me realize the next chapter of this story would be the hardest one yet. The message came late at night. I was half asleep on the couch, the TV still on, the volume low. My phone buzzed, and for a second I thought I dreamed it. Then it buzzed again. I picked it up. It was from Jack. I didn't even know he had a phone. The message was short, misspelled, simple. "Grandma, are you awake?" I hid in my room. My heart started pounding so hard it scared me. I typed back right away. "Yes, buddy, I'm here. Are you okay?" 3 dots appeared, stayed, disappeared, came back. "Mom and Dad are fighting." They said her name. "Mom is crying." I felt sick, not my illness, something colder. I typed, "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. None of this is your fault. You know that, right?" A few seconds passed. "I know. I miss you. Emily misses you too." I closed my eyes and let the tears come. Quiet tears, the kind that slide down without making a sound. Then another message came. "Dad said you took money. He said you don't love us anymore." That one hit like a slap. I wiped my face and typed slowly, carefully. "Oh, Jack, I love you more than anything in this world. Always. No money can change that, ever." A pause. Then, "Can we see you again?" I stared at those words for a long time. This was the moment, the one that mattered, not the bank, not the lawyers, not the shouting. This. I typed, "I want that more than anything, and I am trying very hard to make it happen." Another pause. "Okay. I gotta go. Love you, Grandma." The screen went dark. I sat there shaking. My whole body felt tired, but my mind was clear for the first time in months. The next morning, Susan called. "Margaret," she said, "something changed." I waited. "Linda called her own lawyer," Susan continued. "She's questioning David's decisions." I closed my eyes. "What does that mean?" "It means," Susan said, "this might not end the way he thought it would." Later that day, Linda showed up again. She looked different, not angry, not defensive. Broken. She sat down across from me and whispered, "I didn't think it would hurt them like this." "I told you," I said softly. She started crying. "They ask about you every day." "Then bring them," I said. She shook her head. "David won't agree." I leaned forward. "Then you decide what kind of mother you want to be." She looked at me, really looked at me, like she was seeing me for the first time in a long while. "You're still strong," she said quietly. I smiled. I never stopped being. Weeks passed. Not everything was fixed, not even close. There were meetings, arguments, long, exhausting days where my body felt like it might give up before my heart did. But something had shifted. Emily started sending me drawings again. Jack waved at me through video calls when he could sneak them. Teachers spoke up. Records spoke louder. And one afternoon, when my phone rang and I saw David's name, I didn't feel afraid. I felt ready. "Mom," he said, his voice tired, "we need to talk." "Yes," I said, "we do." I looked around my quiet house, the same house that once echoed with laughter, the same couch, the same hallway. Still empty, but not hopeless anymore. Because I wasn't just sick. I wasn't just alone. I was still Grandma Maggie. And this story wasn't about money. It was about love. And love, no matter how hard people try, is not something you can freeze, hide, or take away. Not forever. Thanks for watching. kindly drop your comment about this story. And please subscribe to this channel and on the notification for more interesting stories.